Just want to let everyone know, before I explain everything, I did actually want to be a level designer. I decided this halfway through the semester of the first semester of third year, and that's why the more you play the game, it's more level design orientated than, more of a visual. I still try to make it look pretty throughout, just to make it look nice and a good impression for game proposal, but the level design is mainly what was at, and the sound effects and stuff like that, a lot of it has been unfinished in regard to that, because I don't really necessarily think that would be good for a level design, but if it is, please let me know, and I'll probably improve on that as well. Thank you. Okay, so this is my my journey of making my game called Experiment. This is pretty much a level design for my very first semester in year 3 of game proposal. So yeah, so my original thought for this game was to actually make a little level or an introduction to a game called Experiment. It's a game which is like very inspired by games like Portal, Superliminal, and all those sort of like indie sort of games, just sort of similar in that aspect. And I sort of wanted to make a little game just showing, here you go, you can push buttons, you can interact with objects to go through the level. So I tried to make a little level. So first things first, I just want to let you know, this is originally what I wanted to show, and as you can see on the bottom left, this is originally what I wanted. It's just a little small level where you can go into a couple of rooms and, use a keypad, try and find codes, operate with buttons to get boxes, to put the boxes elsewhere, but instead it turned to something a lot more bigger. And the reason between this is my original thought on this game proposal idea was I was going to make every single level, make the environments unique, make the levels as interesting, but not only that this would make me a lot different and vibrant to what I actually want to do. I actually want to do level design, and I thought making a bunch of levels with uninspiring level design and just a lot of unnecessary things. I thought instead of making a very small tutorial level, which would actually make no sense when making a game, I thought to just elaborate on this tutorial level and just make it really impressive and just a lot more. As you can tell, there was 3 rooms in the original very basic alpha version, but in the very final version I have about several other rooms. And in this part I'm just going to show you my original ideas and what I wanted to do and my changes, because I have a few people which have play tested me for this, and they said, oh, you could do this and that and this better, and I just sort of elaborated on it over and over again, carried on play testing, researching, just getting inspiration from other games and just making the best game that I could potentially make as a first level in this semester for the first couple of months of the 3rd year. Okay, so these are the comparisons. I'm going to go through them really quickly because I did actually explain this for about 10 minutes, so I'll try and push it into about a minute or two. So this is the very first comparison. This is the very first level where you start, and the top one is old, the bottom one is new. So as you can tell on the top one is very small and claustrophobic, and instead I actually elaborated, expanded it so the player can breathe and look around. As well as that, there's a little door at the exit which opens automatically so you can see a button, just making the game like sort of have events happen around you, as well as just basic things such as just looking around. And also on top of that, on this left side, what I'm showing with the cursor here, there's actually a little Easter egg area, and as you can see at the start of the video, you'd understand that there's a little Easter egg happening in this game. Also with this part, I changed the catwalk, I changed the little blocks around a little bit and just made it a little bit more easier to look around. And as you can tell, I didn't really show the player what to do. It's very easy and just straightforward. This one is a bit different, but instead, I added some parts so, the door's a bit more visible, you can see into the next room. And as you can tell, originally, this was going to be the end of the tutorial, but instead I actually expanded a bit more. Next one. And in this little part, there's this little room which is going inside this extra room, and now this is where it's a bit different. It was just going to be one big room, but instead I got a little button there, and there's a little door which goes down which shows the code instead of this code which is the little red thing. There's actually more things. So originally the top one was actually what I was going to do for this extra thing, just go up some stairs and go into the final level with a little block behind it, or a little button which opens up this door. But instead, you can tell on the bottom, it actually interacts with a lot of certain things. So as you can tell, you can use this block to put in this little conveyor belt system which opens this door, and to put down this little glass pane which I'm just hovering over my icon. This will fall down if you go into this little room, and to actually understand that this is falling down, you press a button in this area down here on the bottom right that I'm showing, and through the window you'll see that it just falls down. I just wanted to show you that very basic, because I did actually go on about 20 minutes just explaining every single small thing. So if you want the original gameplay of what my original vision was going to be and just continue with the other levels, that will actually be in the description below. So yeah, awesome. Now let's actually get into the other thing and that's the real gameplay. For a level designer, you don't really need to make it look pretty. Just make the level, you know, all the trigger events and all of that happening or in place, or explaining correctly what you want to do, your vision. So I wanted to go a bit more and make the environment a bit nicer, but I sort of left it when I heard that I don't actually have to do that. So yeah, so let's get into it. So when you look at the controls, you move and it will say come back later. And so this sort of indicates, you know, maybe you have to come back later after you do certain, you know, puzzle. And in this situation, when you do a puzzle, an egg starts crack, which, you know, resembles an Easter egg. So when you carry on walking here, it says red light equals locked, green light equals unlocked. That's sort of what I wanted to originally do. When you walk down here, you know, the door opens to a button. And if you looked at the controls, you have to press E to open a door, which will open this. When you walk through here, if you can hear, you know, atmospheric music, trying to make the game into a bit more of a mood. And then in this part, you don't really get taught what to do, but you sort of get it as you go along, because sometimes when you're making a level, it's really hard and complicated, or like unnecessary to try and walk through, guide the player to everything you want to do. That was actually one of my comments from one of my early playtesting, saying that they actually didn't know what to do. But when I spoke to someone in the industry, they were like, yeah, it's very simple and straightforward. So I sort of met the middle, made it kind of easier, but made it so everyone just knows. So in this part, you know, you have a button over there and you have something up there, which correlates to the same button as there, which might actually open that door. So as you can tell, you know, this is a second room. It's going to be very easy, very basic. So when you drop this, that'll go down, which will expose this button or this box. So you just press it down there and there you go. I also use this just to show that, you know, you can't actually put on anything there. It's not really a weighted button. So if I just put it there, nothing really does anything like that. So if I pick it up and throw it, you know, it's all good. So I'll just pick this back up and put it down, door opens. This hasn't really changed at all, but when you look through here, as I mentioned earlier, you know, a little door there, which sort of indicates, you know, maybe there's a the code behind it, because there's a keypad there. Boom, open. And also, I also used a lot of spotlights just to show the player that, you know, oh look, there's a thing that you could interact with, such like that. You know, you do that, and it's just incorrect, clear, and all that. So when you walk through here, you can press this button right here, and you find the code 1998. Awesome. Maybe in a later on version of the game, or well, this isn't necessarily level, but I might actually expand this area, because I feel like this is more like a closet room. What I mean by that is just a very small room, unnecessary room. So if anything, I could make like a little room where it's like a bit bigger and like a bit of a hallway with the code on it, or like a little environment just like this room. But for now, I feel like that's all right to just represent what I want to do. So go over here, press 1998, it goes back and the door opens. Awesome. So this is what I meant. So I actually originally didn't want any of this at all, and I just wanted to go over here and press the button and just go all the way up. Actually, the reason why I actually did this as well is a lot of people who play tested say that it would be awesome if you look through the wall, through the door, and sort of see the button, sort of understand what will happen next, as is a little build up if anything, because originally I just wanted to press the button and go all the way up to do the final mission, like a build up section, like a little bridge. I think I can't really explain it properly, but it's something where it's like you're in an intense area or situation, but now you're like catching your breath, sort of getting ready for the next thing, because too much things on the screen will overwhelm you. But instead, I made this part just very calm, very collected, and I just put it like, you know, you can't get to this button, so you get introduced to something else. So you find this block and this little area with a door. The first thought when someone does this is just, you know, just put it there, it'll go up, down there, and the door will open just like that. Awesome. And you know, of course, if you do that, you know, you can always put it down, because there's I've bug tested it, so when you actually go all the way around to be 1000% sure, you can't play out of the map, you can't play in a weird area that you can't actually get it back. So you just go all the way down here and press this button, you know, temp block model, you know how it is, because it was meant to be like a lever. to just to cut down the glass. So when you press that, you look through there, and it just, this little window represents that the glass has come down, so you know what happened, so you can go back up and press the button. So a lot of this level is more like, you know, Portal style. You know, you have to do trial and error, but it's not as complicated because it's a tutorial. So you go over here and press this, opens the door, and with the little catwalk, it sort of shows with these green, just to be like, all right, even more reassuring. One thing that I do love about this game is, like, or Portal or anything in general, is Easter eggs. So I made a lot of little hints saying, like, when if you look down here, it's like, why are you looking down here? Something just very subtle, very, very silly. So yeah, anyway, since that is done, it introduced you to the little conveyor belt system and the block system of interacting with the blocks around with the environment. I put it a bit more as well, so you have to like go through a little area where you actually have to jump on like these like wind things where like the trajectory is like up, so like when you jump into the wind, it will put you up instead of falling down. So instead of just doing this, it will spawn you. Instead, it will just like push you up like that, which is awesome. But anyway, since this one takes a little bit longer, I will do this one first. So when you come down here, there's a little button. You press this button for this blue block, and it will fall down in this little area because it was originally meant to just move, but instead there's a little crack. Now you can't actually get that button. What you need to do now is actually get a yellow cube from this little conveyor belt system, this very clunky conveyor belt system, and just try and get one to put here. So let's do that. You go all the way up like this. Can we get that one in time? And we can't. Oh, thank God that there's one behind us as well. Let's put that there, and now the door is open. Although that someone actually mentioned saying in their first playthrough, even though I put this here, they didn't actually look and they tried to put it up there and they were extremely confused. And in my very first playthrough, I didn't actually have this, which I will show you right now. So if you press this and you go up the ladder, or you just throw it up, it will just break like that, and it will just spawn back over and over again. Originally, it wasn't. You can just go on the ladder and you put it in. I was just thinking, what's the whole point of this puzzle if you can just do that? With this, originally, that I wanted to do is, you know, put a blue box here, which is the blue box. You put it there, and it'll move all the way around, which will open up this little part up here. So this main level, as you could tell originally, is there's two bridges that you need to collide, and there's two blocks that you need to put into two separate trays. So the blue will correlate to the blue tray, and the pink will go into the pink or purple or whatever you want to say. So as you heard, maybe if you heard, I don't know if you heard, an Easter egg just cracked, which shown you that if you go back, I won't go back, but pretty much what happened is a part of the Easter egg has unraveled. So originally, if you do this one first, a part of the level will like remove, so you can see a door, or like you can go into that little room where it said come back later earlier. I'll probably put something on the screen if I can't explain too well. But yeah, I'll go back over here now, and I'll jump up here like that and do the second part. Also, there was a lot of design changes in this part as well. Originally, the catwalk that I'm standing on here, there was originally a button here to actually open up a little area where the door is, pretty much to just sort of drop the cube so you can pick it up. But when I watched someone play through it, they actually didn't understand what the button was doing. So instead, I implemented a throwing mechanic where you have to throw these balls onto the button. And, you know, if you hit certain areas, it wouldn't work. So, like that. Door opens, you can pick this up. There was also a little bug, so if I just throw that down, it doesn't actually respawn for some reason. It is just a sudden bug that just stopped working, so I'll just kill myself. and get this one instead. As I literally say, if the purple box doesn't respawn after you drop it in the abyss, use this block instead. So I'll put this one here, and hopefully you heard an Easter egg crack again, but I heard that when I played through this bunch of times, I didn't have time to like fix up on it before showcasing it to my tutors before the Christmas break. A random Easter egg crack would happen throughout the game, or a door would randomly open, and I don't know what would happen. But pretty much when you put the purple block in the purple tray and the blue in the blue tray, you can walk all the way back, and you'll actually see a little extra part of the level. And this is pretty much just a very basic Easter egg. You don't really necessarily need to do it. So where you say come back later, you can actually walk through here now, and you can press this button, and there'll be a floating Easter egg. The reason why I like doing this is because I love Easter eggs, and I just wanted to mess around. And since this is a tutorial, it could hint well, there might be some fancy or more elaborate Easter eggs in this game. For an actual AAA product or a finished product, the Easter egg would be a lot more harder or a lot more in depth to just show, or something like a little development like thing saying, hey look, I did this sort of thing. But now since I'm here, you should press the door and it should just open. Walk on these ladders, and this was very inspired by Stanley Parable, where you walk into this like dark room, and a bunch of lights will guide you to an end part of the level. So as you can see in the background over there's a little button, so you have to walk through this little catwalk or walk to the light to actually get over there. When you press the light, it'll make a bunch of noise showing something's about to happen, and then it'll pop up with experiment, and then it will just close the game. It won't actually necessarily close the game, it will just transport you to like another part of the game where it's like, this is a main level where you have to get all these like collectible items, and you've got your very first collectible item and it's now on the table. Every single level you do, more items will come up, and when you complete all levels you get all items and you're done, sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much my very first level, and I'm going to be making a lot more, maybe not from this, but yeah, the level's really big, and I'm gonna in my second semester really improve on just making the level more neat, more nicer, instead of like all these like overlapped models and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not actually going to model, I'm going to actually improve a lot more on just symmetry and just making it nicer, instead of actually texturing and modeling certain things just like this. This will come up as a final thing, but what I want to focus on the most is actually the level design. But on top of all of this, I would love to mention that I did get a lot of help from a lot of my friends and also some people in the industry. Fallen Planet Studios, one of the CEOs are actually amazing. Just a small little indie town in my hometown, but pretty much they sent me a massive email just explaining the certain things that I could actually improve on, which is actually on the screen right now. And yeah, awesome. None of this could have actually fully happened if not a lot of people just sort of play tested through my game. I know I can only go so far with understanding stuff, but if other people actually look over and say, look, this is a bit different, this is good, opposed to what I think, then I feel like that's very good as well. But yeah, thank you. But yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Take care.